It's meal prep time again. Today I'm gonna prep healthy and high protein breakfast, lunch, snack slash dessert, and a dinner. So many of you have wished for a vegan meal prep, so today I'm prepping easy vegan recipes. But if you aren't vegan, I'm also gonna give you some non-vegan options. For breakfast, we're making 1 pan baked oats, a creamy pesto pasta for lunch, and for snack slash dessert, we're gonna make healthier cookie bars, and for dinner, a stir fry. But as always, let's start with the breakfast.
1 pan baked oats are super easy to make since, as the name says, you mix everything together in 1 pan. First, I mash 3 bananas, then I add the rest of the ingredients, lots of oats, some cinnamon and cardamom for that blueberry pie flavor, and baking powder. Next, I add ground flaxseeds, which are a great source of omega-3s and fiber. Then I add high protein soy yogurt. If you aren't vegan, you could use Greek yogurt. And next, I add almond milk and vanilla extract. And vegan vanilla protein powder. If you don't have protein powder, you could just leave it out. But in that case, I would add less milk. Then I carefully mix everything together. Lastly, I fold in lots of blueberries. I saved some for topping for decoration. I bake it at 180 Celsius degrees, 350 in Fahrenheit for about 40 minutes. I let it cool down and cut it into 6 pieces. I store them in airtight containers in the fridge. In the morning, you can reheat it in the microwave or enjoy cold. These baked oats are a perfect breakfast for fall. They are really fluffy and taste just like blueberry pie. For lunch, I'm prepping creamy pesto pasta. I'm adding some veggies to it. I got this huge zucchini from my relative's garden. I'm only using half of this now since this is at least 3 times bigger than a normal zucchini. I place the diced zucchini onto a baking pan lined with parchment paper. I drizzle some olive oil on top and add a pinch of salt. I'm also roasting cherry tomatoes, so I cut them in half. And just like the zucchini, I add the cherry tomatoes onto a baking pan lined with parchment paper and add some olive oil and salt on top. I roast the veggies at 200 Celsius degrees, 390 in Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes. Meanwhile, I make the pesto sauce. I add all the ingredients into a blender, lots of fresh basil, soaked cashews that make this pesto creamy, and add some protein. Then I add a handful of spinach, juice of half a lemon, some water, nutritional yeast for a cheesy flavor. If you aren't vegan, you could replace it with Parmesan cheese. Lastly, I add a pinch of salt, and then I just blend everything together. Next, I cook some lentil pasta. After the pasta and veggies are cooked, I just mix all the ingredients together in this big glass container. It turned out so creamy and delicious. The roasted cherry tomatoes and the pesto are such a perfect combination. I store this in a fridge and reheat in the microwave. For snack/dessert, I'm prepping healthier cookie bars. I add all the ingredients into a blender. Peanut butter. The peanut butter I use is 100% made of peanuts. Then I add some maple syrup and vanilla extract. Next I add chickpeas, which adds some protein and fiber to the cookie dough. Then I add almond flour, baking powder, and a pinch of salt and blend until smooth. If you don't have a high-speed blender, I recommend blending only the wet ingredients and then adding the mixture into a bowl with the dry ingredients. Next I fold in some dark chocolate chunks. I'm using 80% dark chocolate. You can save some for topping if you like. I spread the dough into a baking dish lined with parchment paper. The blender heated up a bit, so some of the chocolate chunks melted, but it looks even better this way. I added the rest of the dark chocolate chunks on top and bake it at 180 Celsius degrees, 350 in Fahrenheit for about 20 minutes. I let it cool down and then I cut it into bars. These turn out so good. So chewy and delicious. For dinner, I'm making a stir fry with lots of veggies. After washing the vegetables, I chop them. I'm using bell peppers, broccoli, and mushrooms. The main source of protein in this stir fry is tofu. I'm using a high protein tofu that contains 18 grams of protein per 100 grams. If you aren't vegan and not the biggest fan of tofu, you could replace it with chicken, for example. Then I make the sauce. I add all the ingredients into this container: soy sauce, rice vinegar. Then I accidentally used honey, but if you are vegan, use maple syrup. Next I add sesame oil, vegetable broth, cornstarch, ground ginger, but you could also use fresh grated ginger, pinch of pepper, and chili flakes. If you don't have IBS like me, you could add some grated garlic cloves to this as well. Then I just shake the container until everything is combined. Next I add some olive oil to a pan. I fry the tofu on the pan for about 10 minutes until golden. I season it with salt and pepper. When the tofu is cooked, I set it aside. Then I add more olive oil to the pan and the chopped bell peppers and broccoli. All the veggies couldn't fit to the pan at once, so I'm cooking them in 2 parts. I cook them on medium to high heat for about 8 minutes. When they're cooked, I set them aside and again add some olive oil to the pan and cook the mushrooms with some edamame beans. I cook them for about 5 minutes. Then I mix all the ingredients together for the stir fry in 2 parts since I couldn't fit everything into the pan at once. So I add half of the veggies and half of the tofu. I also add some chopped green onions for flavor. And lastly, I add half of the sauce. Then I just stir and cook for 2 more minutes. I serve the stir fry with rice. It turned out super tasty. Aaron said he hasn't eaten tofu in over 15 years because he once ate it when he was younger and didn't like it at all. But this stir fry changed his opinion about tofu. He said we definitely need to make this again next week. And here are all the ready meals.
Those were all the meals I meal prepped today. Let me know in the comments what kind of meal prep recipes you want to see next. The written recipes are in the description box as always. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel. I hope you tried the recipes. Enjoy!